Transmitting to you live from the Queen City. Streaming to the world and beyond. This is the Traders Vibe Video Podcast Show. We talk and you listen. And now, here's your host, Carl Berget, aka Chaos Trader.
All right, traders, welcome to the Traders Vibe Video Podcast Show. My name is Carl Berget, aka Chaos Trader 63. Every week, I am bringing you some of the most prominent traders in the business. And today I want to bring to you Lydia Idem. If you don't know Lydia Idem, then you haven't been paying attention, because basically she is an investment advisor who has been an investor and trader for 24 years. She's been special guest on Yahoo Finance and TD Ameritrade Network, featured in Forbes magazine and CNN Money, and co-author contributor to the Stock Twits Edge Trading, the best of the best. In 2014, she launched FM Capital Group, LLC, a registered investment advisory firm with a mission to empower more people to become smarter, impactful investors. Lydia was recently named number 22 of the Twitter account Investors Need to Follow, and number 3 of the top 10 women to follow in finance. In 2019, she joined Bay Street Capital Holdings as senior investment advisor. Lydia has a Master of Science in Management from Georgia Institute of Technology and a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science from Vanderbilt University. A very smart, intelligent woman right here. So Lydia, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for that great introduction, Carl. I'm really happy to be back with you today. Hello to everybody. Thank you for the warm welcome.
Yeah, our first time we had a little issue. It wasn't my first time having the issue, but it was the first time with us. I had done this 3 times in a row. I messed up 3 videos in a row. So luckily, I was able to get everybody back, and I got you back, and I'm glad to have you.
No problem. Glad to be back.
So Lydia, you got all these degrees and stuff. What's going on with that?
Yes, I did. I got all these degrees, and I would say 2 years after graduating with my MBA, I realized that, I started trading Forex, actually. So it happened actually about, 4 years later, I started trading Forex. 3 years after that, in 2009, my brother dragged me onto social media, and I was like, okay, I will join Twitter, fine. And I knew when I joined Twitter that I was going to talk about something. And since I was trading, I decided, let me talk about the markets. Let me talk about trading. Let me talk about Forex. At the time, I was calling everything, I was just giving all kind of trade calls, was basically just showing my account. And I just gained this huge following. So, a part of me had to let go and release that learning that we have to have a career in the degree that we set out in. I have a computer science background. I used to code, software development, and to go into investment advising and to finance fully, I just had to say, you know what, I'm just going to jump into this because I'm good at this. I know this stuff. And even though I don't have a degree in it, I still can be successful in it.
Right. So what really got you started? Give us some background, how you really got started. So basically you gave me a little bit, but tell me what just really got you going with trading and investing?
So what people don't really realize, sometimes I think it's surprising, is that my mother actually is the person who got me into trading and investing. When I was young, she did get me a savings account, but she also got me a custodian account with Charles Schwab. So unbeknownst to me, I was putting all my graduation money and all my birthday money, all these gifts into this custodian account. And I didn't realize that it was enabling me to trade. So in high school, AP Economics, those of you who took it, I learned about stock market. And literally after that class, I got in my car after school or after practice, and I drove to Charles Schwab. And I said, I have an account here. I want to trade some stocks. And they looked at me. I was 17 at the time. And they looked at me and were like, do you have an account here? And I brought my account statement. And they were like, okay, well, sit down. So I bought my first mutual funds at the time. That was 1996. I bought my first mutual funds. And so I headed into college. And when I went to Vanderbilt, I was really happy that Charles Schwab was just down the street. So I headed into college with, a bunch of mutual funds and some cash, and, and started school knowing that I had not just a nest egg, but I actually had some money behind me that I knew was growing, that I knew I could tap if I wanted to, but I didn't really feel the need to until I studied abroad. I studied abroad in Italy and ran up a nice credit card bill. And what I did when I came back to the States, I sold some shares and was able to pay that credit card bill off. So that's how I got started in trading. It was really through my mom, and then learning about it in school, and then just taking action on it, right? So I could have just learned on it and sat on it, but I realized I had a brokerage account, even though I didn't fully understand what it allowed me to do. And I just went ahead and took action on it.
Well, that's nice. We want to thank your mom for getting you started, or else we wouldn't have you doing this today. So thank you to her. Lydia, also one thing that is an issue that I always think about, like, especially you're a female trader, female investor, and you're also a Black female trader investor. So with those two things in mind, were there any kind of, like, struggles that you had to endure, or anything a little bit different for you, do you feel?
So I think because my journey into finance has been so unconventional, I'm not the typical, finance degree, then Wall Street internship, Wall Street job. If you know my background, like you gave a little bit of it, but I came out of school, I started doing software development, and then I started teaching computer science for about 6 years. So because I didn't come through that, I really am self-made, self-taught. Because of the huge following I was receiving on social media really helped proliferate my career. I didn't face that so directly. Okay. So a lot of difficulties or challenges because I'm a woman in the industry, or because I am a Black woman in the industry, was really just due to lack of access or even lack of knowledge. But I am the type of person, or I have become the type of person, to just seek out the knowledge and just ask people. I would go to conferences like every February I was at the Money Show here in New York, and I was asking questions, I was talking to people, and I remember going, and people were coming up to me talking about they were huge fans of mine, and that's when I was just like, wow, this Twitter thing is amazing. Yeah. So my challenge has really just been lack of access to knowledge, access to capital. But I haven't faced the direct discrimination that I know is inherent in finance, especially against women and people of color, Black people in particular. I will say that I think that has been a huge asset to be a Black woman, because it's been kind of a unicorn. I was asked to a lot of conferences and to be on a lot of shows. I believe it's because I did bring diversity to the conference. I did bring diversity to the show. And so I've seen it's only been an asset for me in my career, which I'm really happy to say.
Well, yeah, that's good. That's real good. So what can we do, as traders to help inform and educate Black females to get involved with trading and get educated in doing this field also?
Yeah, so I think the first thing, as like individually, I think we should all be publishing our body of work, like publishing our work. And I mean, like starting a blog and putting your thoughts out there, or just doing social media and posting different things that you're seeing in the market. Also exposing girls that are in your sphere of influence, exposing them to the markets. I show my daughters the markets all the time when they were younger. I'm sorry about the noise coming down, but they're street clean here. So I'm gonna talk louder, and if it's bad, I'm sorry. But I've exposed my daughters to the markets. I just showed it to them. My oldest has taken more of an interest to it than my youngest daughter, which is fine, right? And my son. I just show them the markets, and I think that's the biggest thing that you all can do, is just show the children in your life the markets. Show them the candlestick chart. Show them the price action. Start accounts for them. Start small accounts for them. It doesn't need to be a lot of money as their kids. Add to it for them, and then institute a practice of, like, let's open up your account, because if they all have phones, I'm sure they all have phones, they're able to put an app on their phone and open it up. I do that exercise with my kids at least monthly, where they have to open up the app, they have to initiate a transfer fund from their savings account into their brokerage account and then buy the stock that they're wanting to. And they have to tell me why they're buying it. So this is a part of it's a tenet of my practice, is that I am passionate about having educated and informed investors. I just don't want to take your money and invest it for you. You don't know where it's going or why. So a part of that is me, for my kids, I really want them to tell me, why are you buying this stock? My daughter 2-3 weeks ago, I don't know if you guys have been following all the TikTok rage, but my daughter's on TikTok, my youngest, she's on TikTok, and she heard Microsoft might buy TikTok, and she came to me and said, Mom, I want to buy TikTok. I want to buy Microsoft stock. And so I said, well, why? And she said, well, they're going to buy TikTok. And I said, well, brilliant. Go get your phone. Let's open it up. Let's transfer. She had to transfer some money. She had to wait for it to hit, like, every day. Mom, did it settle? Mom, has it settled? Mom, has it settled? Like, yes, it's finally settled. And I allowed her to initiate her own Microsoft trade. So I think just showing it to them, show it to them. Don't worry about getting it technically right or saying the right jargon. Just explain it to them the best way they know how, which is they own this company now. I mean, at the end of the day, and they should be buying companies at that age that they're consuming in some kind of way, whether they like the food, whether they like the games, whether they like the shoes. Let's teach them also that they can own a piece of this company, and it can really be as simple as that. And
yeah,
then
that's real. I wish I would have learned when I was younger, because
right?
I mean, in school, they don't even tell you about this kind of stuff. So you don't really have anywhere to get the education. So
Yeah.
Hopefully you can get it from somebody else, you know what I mean? But yeah,
Right.
That's good what you just said. That's a good thing. It's good that you're doing that with your daughters and your sons and stuff. So hopefully they, progress and move on and do the same thing you're doing. What does what's your daily routine look like as far as like your trading?
Yeah, so I wake up quite early. I live on the West Coast, so I'm up around 5 o'clock to see the markets. Now, when I first started in Forex, I will tell you, I was one of the all-nighters. I would trade all times of day, all times of night. And now that I have my core currency pairs, I wake up really early. The first thing I do is look at price action. I don't even look at charts. So I really do I make a distinction between charts and then just looking at price, a list of prices, like, in our stocks app or something. So I look at price action. I see where price is going. And then maybe a couple hours after prayer, after breakfast, I will go and open up the charts. And then from the charts, and by then we probably had some news releases, some economic news releases, kind of see what how markets are moving and set some orders. And I'm just looking at charts kind of throughout my day. So then, like, probably about a couple hours after that, then I'm starting to get into client accounts. I got to look at other markets like stocks and, bonds and even crypto for clients. And so I'm constantly looking at markets throughout my day. And then again, right before night, kind of looking at, and that's probably around the Asian session, kind of looking at things again, maybe setting some more orders or, doing some trade management.
I think I'm losing you a little bit. Yeah, I think we lost you a little bit. See if you come back to us. I don't know. Hopefully you come back to us. While we're waiting to see if Lydia comes back, we'll just let you guys know that I'm going to do a session on Forex right after this session. So yeah, you're back with us?
Okay, hear me?
Okay, we lost you for a minute. I was scared you were going to be gone for good.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. But yeah, you were telling us about basically your routine, what you do and so forth. You said you had a core set of Forex pairs that you look at. What core pairs do you really look at?
So I look at the major pound currency pairs. So if you know me, if you don't know me, I only trade the pound. So I'll trade the pound against the dollar, the euro, the Canadian dollar, Australian dollar, the New Zealand dollar, and the yen.
Okay. And so what kind of strategy do you use to trade? What's your basic strategy?
I am a swing trader. So I really want to find positions that I can hold for multiple days through maybe a couple of weeks or so. I've had positions where I've held for a month. I use Fibonacci religiously to find entries and also exits. Sometimes support and resistance will dictate exits as well, but I'm definitely a huge fan and user of Fibonacci retracement and extension levels.
Okay, so and then when you suppose you get to that Fibonacci level, you see what you want. How do you get in? Do you use price action or do you use indicators or what?
Yes, so I will set limit orders at the levels that I desiring to get in. Same with stops. I determine my stops using Fibonacci levels as well. So I already have a well-defined area of risk that I want to take in the market. I'm doing that. And so I'll use limit orders. I don't really need any more indicators other than that. And then when I say I'm watching price action, that's when I'm kind of like, okay, I know there's a moving average or there's support and resistance around a key level, and just kind of seeing where, along with a fib level, and then just seeing where price is in between there.
Okay, well, since we're talking about it, you might as well just take us to it. Let's see your charts.
Okay. Okay.
I think we lost your voice. Okay, I see your screen.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Okay. Is that good? Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
All right. Great. Okay. So pound dollar is my favorite. Pound dollar and the euro pound. That's what I have up. I can look at some other pairs for you as well, but I kind of use the same methodology on any kind of chart that I'm looking at. So I like to start with oh, that was it. Yeah. Yeah, so this is a weekly chart. I was on another show when we were down at 130. It was around April. It was April. It was April, and the Fed had just slashed interest rates, put in trillions of dollars into the system, and I said that I saw a pound dollar going to $1.35. Forex, unlike stocks, which like all the quantitative easing that get, what people call juiced or pumped or rigged or whatever the terminology is, Forex is very true fundamentals. And if a country is going to pump that much quantitative easing into a market, its currency is going to deflate. Now, because during the crash in March, the dollar took off, right? Because of risk aversion, people were buying dollars. Especially since this was a global pandemic, you had a lot of other countries that were also buying a lot of dollars. So we saw a huge rise in the dollar. So that is this dip down in here into 114. This is like new all-time lows, right? What we have been seeing since then is that the market, the Forex market in particular, has succumbed to the fundamentals, and we're going to see a dollar weakening. And that's what we've been experiencing, dollar weakness. And I don't think dollar weakness is done. And the Fed just gave us new signals last week that they intend to not only keep inflation rates low, that they're not even going to allow inflation, which has been like their key indicator for decades. They're not even going to let inflation entice them or incite them to raise interest rates. We are going to see the dollar continue to weaken. So this is the graph that this is my weekly chart. This break of the 61.8 Fibonacci level only signals a reversal. And this reversal back to new highs, which on this Fibonacci level or this chart is back to the 143 level. I don't see how we don't get there. Unless something happens with Brexit between now and the end of the year, which is quite possible because the EU agreement between the UK and the European Union is not going well. It's not going well, but we're all still traders are right now still so captured with the pandemic and coronavirus numbers and recovery numbers that Brexit numbers have not, Brexit news is not at the forefront. That's the only thing that's going to actually stop the pound from rising is anything around Brexit. So I think we're going to see the dollar, the pound against the dollar return back to the 140s. When I look at the euro pound, as it loads here, we're seeing a lot of the same kind of pound strength. And what we're going to see, same thing, is that if we look at my weekly chart here, I know I have a lot of lines going on. So let me just walk you guys through it. Is that this pound strength, which caused the euro pound to collapse right into the beginning of the year. Okay, we had a double bottom and we had this spike up. Again, the spike up was the coronavirus pandemic hitting Europe, hitting the US. The pound crashed. And we saw that across the board with the pound in particular. And now we're seeing pound weakness. And why are we seeing, we're seeing pound strength as we start to fall back. I thought this would be a temporary correction. And I was watching this 198 level, and you see we got this spike high at a 0.9175 pence. So what we see here is now with the pound breaking to these new lows, we're going to see what I believe we're going to see a return back into these 83.5 pence area. So I think we're going to see a lot of pound strength, and I think a lot of it has to do with risk appetite in the market, not really with pound fundamentals. Also, if we start to compare the UK versus the EU and how well they're doing with reopenings, the UK is not doing well, but relative to the EU, it's doing better. And so you're starting to see that kind of strength in the pound for those reasons as well. I really like, just to contrast it with like a kind of a commodity dollar. If we look at like the New Zealand dollar, New Zealand enjoyed 100 days without coronavirus until about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And when they did have new coronaviruses, they shut down their economy. So what happened? We saw the New Zealand dollar weaken. And so that's where a lot of this recent strength in the pound Kiwi came from. And again, we're seeing here New Zealand dollar strength. So there are some things that you have, again, I'm looking at these longer term charts as a swing trader, but there's just like those fundamental plays kind of are determining direction. And then we use those, I use the charts to kind of determine my entries.
So you use a lot of fundamentals to get in, look at the market, basically.
I use fundamentals to determine direction. And I'll say that I use technical analysis first and foremost for entries and exits. I like to know what fundamentally is going to happen because it does drive direction, especially in Forex. It really does drive direction in Forex. I feel like in other markets, like stock markets, I feel like news, fundamental news, unless not around company earnings or company revenues or things like that. But if we still, like, we have news like what happened with Apple, like Apple's falling right now based on they reported 1 quarter of loss. I mean, it's a pandemic. Do we think that Apple's really poorly run company or poorly managed? No, but you're going to get hit like this. It's a little different in Forex. Forex fundamentals can literally drive direction for months or if not years. So I do want to pay attention to fundamentals, but I want to be clear that I use the charts to determine my entries and my exits.
Okay. So being a trader, investor, what's your biggest trait? What do you think your biggest trait is? The trait that helps you to do what you do?
My biggest trade?
Your best trait as a trader.
Oh, I would say patience.
Patience. That's big.
Extremely patient. Yeah, really I'm extremely patient. You can I have clients who can be really annoyed with me because they'll start with me and then they'll be like, so when are we investing? When are we investing? When are we investing? It's like, breathe and calm down because we got to wait for the markets.
I mean, that's the same thing too. I feel like, I got a lot of members, and if I'm not posting a trade setup or a trade alert, they get irritated with me. And it's like, you got to wait for this stuff. This stuff happens when you wait for it. So I think that's a big trait for traders, especially newer traders. I think if you're an experienced trader, you know that you got to be patient, because back in my days, I know I wasn't patient in the beginning. I was making I tell you the truth, I was making about 20 trades a day.
Same.
Yeah, and I had like a $5,000 account. I blew that in about 3 months or so. and I was making trades like crazy. And I realized, hey, you can't do that, you know?
Yeah.
So that is a
And then
big trade.
trading everything too, right? You're trading the
Yeah.
whole universe, trading
Everything.
whatever was
Everything.
open, whatever was flu, whatever. You were just trading all of it. Yeah. Same.
Right, right.
Story.
So did you take advantage of any of the, like when you're looking at your charts, did you take advantage of any of the coronavirus news with any of the pairs?
For sure. I took advantage of it more in stocks. We bought a lot. You know, I had clients kind of like, are you sure? I had clients put more money in so we could trade. So I really took advantage of the dip in March in the stock market. That was probably the best. Opportunity that we saw. I think with Forex, you probably got a little bit of a fake out because we didn't know at the time, right? So you didn't know people were going to keep buying dollars because we didn't know how devastating it could or couldn't be. We weren't sure what the Feds and other central banks, we weren't sure what their policies were going to do in the markets, because even though we saw all this quantitative easing from the Federal Reserve, we still saw the dollar being bought, which was very counterintuitive. So I really did not trade the Forex market during that time period. I was really heavy. I was heavy in the stock market.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I kind of stayed away a little bit because I just wasn't sure, you know, of anything. So I kind of stayed away. I like that. I like the way you look at the markets. I like the things that you do and think. I'm gonna look at some questions from some other people, and someone's asking me, since she does everything with the reason, why is she only trading the pound against other currencies? Is there a particular reason?
Yes. Oh, I'm glad you asked. So I get this question a lot. So I trade the pound because I love the way it moves. It's very, very technical. It respects fibs. It respects support and resistance. So that's why I trade the pound. Like I mentioned, I started my career trading everything. I traded all of the pairs, even the exotic ones with 50 pip spreads. Okay. So I traded the universe. And when I really started to try to hone a system and really work to develop a system and a way to approach the markets, I found that the pound resonated not only with the technical indicators that worked for me, that I understood the best, but it also just jived with my personality. When I woke up, when I went to sleep, when I woke up and was active in the markets, the pound was also active. You know what I mean? So that's why I chose the pound. I decided to narrow my universe and really become very, very proficient and fluent in the way that the pound moved in the markets.
Yeah, get your focus on stuff, because it's like you can't, there's so many pairs that you can look at, and you get confused and lost out if you're doing too much. Yeah. So I try to tell the same thing to people. What would you give as advice to new traders trying to learn the process right now, trying to become a trader or do this for a living? What kind of advice would you give them?
I mean, I think my biggest advice now, because of social media, is to just find a mentor. Find somebody who will give you feedback, who will teach you how they approach markets. And I tell like students who come on with me, I tell them, like, I'm going to teach you my approach to markets. I'm going to give you 5 indicators that you will know really, really well. You'll know how to use them. You'll know what it's indicating, you know, what it's telling you about price action. But ultimately, trading is just so personal. And so you're going to eventually massage and tweak it until you get it into something that really works for you, works for your lifestyle. So my advice is to get with somebody so you can expedite that learning curve and get to the part where you're actually personalizing it and making it work for you. Because it could be a long road to get to that place. And then there's a longer road from there to get to profitability. So I would say, whatever you can do to shortcut your learning curve, which I believe with social media, you can follow a bunch of traders. So many of us are willing to help or to mentor. Buy courses that are, again, from these people that you trust, that you've seen on social media, that you kind of like how they're tweeting, you like how they're approaching markets or looking at markets. And if they're offering any courses or mentorship, pay for it. It's fine. At the start of my career, I did pay for a system, and it came with so much support that I found a mentor for and eventually was able to learn a system that I could learn to approach the markets in a way that I did not have to pay for the system anymore. But it just expedited my learning curve, you know what I mean? And then when social media came about, I just found a community with whom I could banter with and even learn and learn from in addition to that. So I think the biggest thing for new traders is that you're trying to do it all by yourself and you just don't have to. You can, but you don't have to. Like, shorten that learning curve because it's such a long learning curve, you know, to get to where you're successful. So just shorten it as much as you can.
I paid for courses back in the day too. I mean, I had people training me and learn. I didn't do it by myself either. It's like, you could do this thing by yourself, but you're going to make so many mistakes and hinder the process. Yeah. So if you get with someone that knows, that just speeds up your process, basically. Someone is asking me, John, saying, why do you use the fibs over other indicators? Did you hear me?
Oh, again, it goes back to, again, the pound. The pound respects the pound. The pound respects the fibs just so much. Also, as you heard, if you can tell, I'm a fan of keeping it very simple. So I'm not a fan of all these lines, of all these different indicators on the chart. So, you know, I have a whole bunch of fibs, and when I get a chart like this, I'll clean it up. But yeah, so again, you don't need millions of indicators. You need really 3 to 5, maybe 7 that just jive with the asset that you're trading and with your personality and with the time of day, or I'll say lifestyle, which really includes the time of day that you're coming into markets. We can't stay up 24/7 like Forex markets, right? So we really have to know when we can approach. People who trade the yen, much respect, because I don't understand the yen at all. Okay, or the euro. So a lot of people like the euro and the yen, and I can't stand those two. But I will trade them against the pound because that pound element helps me understand. So, yeah, that's why I stick to Fibonacci.
Okay, so if people want to join or become members with you, how do they get in touch with you?
Oh, yes. So definitely you can find me on Twitter. I'm going to bring up my blog. I think everything, I like to say, starts and ends at the blog. But you can find me on Twitter, on StockTwits, on Instagram at FaithMight, which is like here. My website the blog is faithmightfx.com, but that's not my handle. So all my social media is just FaithMight. So you can find me there. Follow me when I'm tweeting about markets. That's where you'll find it. Is there. You can come to the blog. The blog is where I put all of my analysis that is available for the public. And then we have these options in the menu. You can learn with me if you're interested in the course that I've developed. It is for beginners. So if you're a more knowledgeable trader and you already have a system, I wouldn't recommend it. But if you're new, or if you've been at the markets and you just still don't feel like you have a sense of where you're going, I would recommend my course, Charts 101. It does teach you how to approach the markets from technical, fundamental analysis, all of it. And then if you are interested in working with an investment advisor, I'm an independent registered investor advisor. That's the Invest With Us tab. You can go there, learn more about my firm. It's FM Capital Group. We do work with, all clients. We don't have account minimums. From the website, we do work with angel investors. I do work a lot in venture capital, but we also do traditional asset management. I'm an investor. I love all asset classes. Okay, so when it comes to FM Capital Group and the advisory firm, we do advise clients in all asset classes as it's suitable for their portfolio. So if you are interested in that service as well, please do check us out there. FM Capital GRP is the handle on all social media as well. You can hook up with me on everything: Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. You can find me and follow me.
Good. So if you want to get and understand what Lydia is talking about and how she's trading, there's her website, faithmightfx.com. Lydia, one last question. What's the Faith Might? How'd you get that? What's that come up with?
Yes. So those are the meanings of my first two children. That's the meaning of faith and might. So that
good. I like that. Okay. So you did your kids in there. All right. Well, I really enjoyed having you in here today and learning some stuff that you were talking about. I mean, I try to educate myself with anyone, everybody, all the time. So I've never stopped learning. And you put some things in my head too. So I really appreciate having you here, and I'm glad we were able to get it done this time.
Me too. Thanks so much, Carl. Thanks for having me back. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
No problem. And Lydia, we'll have you again one day. So until then, you have a great one, and God bless you.
Thank you. You too.
So long.
Bye, everyone.